Welcome everyone. I'm John McGuire, founder and director of the Kinesiology Institute, and I'm so thrilled that you're joining me today. We're going to get into a lot of very practical testing of muscles to check nutritional aspects of a person's health. I'm going to give you a little bit of my background, but before we do that, there's one thing I always like to start with. Is called the ear unrolling technique. I'm going to be showing you a lot of techniques that help enhance energy flow in the body and health. So the first one I like to do is to turn your head from right to left and see if either side is stiffer than the other or both. And then we're going to do this simple technique where you're going to take the rolled over part of your ear and you're just going to go like this, opening it up like you're stretching your ears like Dumbo ears. Okay, and just keep going back up to the top, working your way down and around. Now what this does is, first of all, the ears act as antennae for acupuncture meridian energy known as qi to boost your energy flow in your body. Breathe slowly and deeply as you do this, and actually take long breaths out of the mouth and quicker deep breaths from the belly through your nose. And that activates the vagus nerve, which helps your homeostasis in your body's health. Okay, now let's see what happens when we turn the head and neck again and see if you got any better range of motion. Oh, wow, I certainly did myself. And if it helped you, great. Now there's other things that cause stiff necks. We get into that in our other courses, but for now, that's a great thing to do anytime you're getting sleepy because it boosts your energy. It also helps you listen and retain information better, which is why I like to start with it. So let me give you a little bit of my background. And while we're doing this, I'll give you another energy technique. It's called the thymus thump. Right around where your second button is, thump on your chest. You might remember, for any of you that saw the Tarzan movies, he would thump his chest. Well, physiologically, it boosts your body's energy as well. Under stress is another great thing. So keep breathing slowly and deeply. And as you do that, you can also do this. I'll give you another thing energy-wise to do. You touch one hand on your belly button, the umbilicus, the other hand right under the collarbone. And as you do this, you can work the eyes from right to left, going around in circles all over. Now what this does is it helps to integrate the left and right hemispheres of the brain. It also helps to correct what's called neurological switching. And what that is where you get confused. You can't put two and two together. Like if you're ever reading and you can't remember what you read, this is a great technique to do. And so that's good thing. You could do that, the thymus thump or the ear unrolling, while I'm telling you a little bit about me, okay? So first of all, I had so many health challenges when I was a child. I went from doctor to doctor. I had really intense pains in my gut. I had chronic constipation. I had knee and leg problems so bad that the doctor actually excused me from doing gym classes, physical education, because when I would do any exertion, I would be in total pain. So for 2 years, I didn't even go to gym class. I couldn't walk long distances. I was also very depressed. And the interesting thing is, with all of that, no doctor ever asked me or my mother, what does Johnny eat? I had a horrible diet, just loaded with sugar, junk food, and I didn't know anything about good nutrition. So here I go. I was a mess. I go off to college at Oberlin College, and I never heard of natural food, but the cheapest place to live on campus, it was also the most expensive school in probably the entire Midwest, and I wanted to save money on my fees. So I go into a natural foods co-op. I walk in and I see, what? They don't have pizza? No beer? Huh. And then they're vegetarians? I thought you had to eat meat or you'd die. Well, anyway, make a long story short, my health problems totally cleared up. My aches and pains left, my gut felt great, my depression lifted, and I didn't realize it was the food until I went back home on break, went back to the old way of eating, and all my symptoms came back. After break, go back to school, they cleared up. Then I finally put 2 and 2 together, that what you eat has total impact not only on your physical health and your symptoms, but also your brain and your emotions. So it totally changed. And then I realized, rather than, I was not sure where I wanted to go in school, but then I said, I'm going to major in psychobiology and neuropharmacology, because I was understanding there's a lot of connection between the mind and the body. Well, fortunately, I became aware of applied kinesiology, what I'm going to be showing you a lot of today. In an applied kinesiology, we understand this premise, and you can write this down, that the brain has an innate, in the body, the whole body, it has an innate intelligence that's plugged into universal intelligence. And this intelligence knows how to keep ourselves well, how to be in optimal health. And what prevents us from being in our optimal health state is not following natural laws. And when we don't do that, which bottom line is not eating properly, not thinking properly, not living properly, that stresses and blocks the energy flow. So that what occurs then is that symptoms arise. And we have all these energy systems through the body that run the physical body. Another quote you can write down by Einstein. He said, "The energy field is the sole governing agent of matter." So our energy body is what's running the physical body, and we can tap into the energy body through muscle testing. So what muscle testing does, it's also known as energy testing, is you take what we call a switched on muscle, could be an arm, we'll be primarily doing that. In our advanced courses, we get into all the different muscles of the body. And it was Dr. Goodhart, who I studied with, who first figures this out. He discovered that the muscles will go weak when a stressor is put in the body's energy field. Now that could be tasting of food, it could be even the frequency of a food, or thoughts too. So when you think of a stressor, your arm will go weak. When something is enhancing your energy field, and you put that in either on the tongue or on the body, then a weak muscle that's already stressed for whatever reason will go strong. So what I'm going to be showing you today is not only how to do testing other people, but also testing yourself. So and I do this all the time. I went to the market last night and I was testing foods, which we're going to get into in this first hour. And I could see foods that I love this. Oh, and I would test weak, so I'd put it back. Now, just to note, the testing weak and strong and all that could also be energy flow, energy blocked. So actually, we have Lee in the house here. So Lee's going to come up in a minute, and I'm going to demonstrate how you would test someone else. So first thing to remember is it's not a strength test. A lot of people have this challenge. They say, oh, I tried it and I can't get it to work, or I can't get it to work on my spouse or my family. Well, I actually was kind of like that when I was first getting tested, because I was in my mid-20s and I thought, ooh, I'm getting tested. I don't want to fail the test. And I would muscle and just fight the other person like we were arm wrestling, and I couldn't find a weak muscle. Well, then when I started studying this, and my instructor said, it's not a strength test, it's a relaxed hold meeting the other person's pressure. And if it starts to go, just let it go. So that way, when you're testing someone, you want to have your intention and the other person's intention to get accurate results. You don't want to bias the test. Goodhart used to call it operator bias, which is when someone would want it to be strong and make it strong. Like if I'm testing foods and they say, okay, tiramisu, and they're thinking tiramisu, I love tiramisu, I want to be strong, I want to be, oh yeah, you're strong on tiramisu. Well, not necessarily. However, you don't want to be saying, oh, you're going to be weak, so I'm going to show you you're weak. You have to have an open mind and intention to get accurate results. And Lee, are you ready to come up? Mm-hmm. Fantastic, okay. Welcome to Lee. So Lee, come on up and we're going to do some, actually come up front here, and we're just going to do some testing. So first of all, welcome. Good to see you.
You too.
And are there any challenges with your body, any aches or pains, or has your shoulder got any problems, first of all?
Yeah, like sore back.
Sore back.
Like vertebrae that's sticking out. I don't know.
Okay, we might check onto that later, but the shoulder doesn't have any problem that we shouldn't test it, correct?
No.
Okay, great. So I'm going to have you hold your arm, and it's about 45 degrees here, folks, with your elbow straight and your hand relaxed. Now, I'll be pushing back, and you're just going to meet my pressure. Now, you can stabilize on the person. If you have someone in the house, you can actually do this with them. So I'm just going to put gradual increasing pressure. So for about 2 to 3 seconds, a little harder, a little harder, a little harder. Okay, now I want to see what does it look like when it switches off. So what I'm going to do is have you say a name that isn't your own. So say, my name is Kamala Harris.
My name is Kamala Harris.
And hold as I push. And there, it starts to go, and it lets go. Now, you don't have to push further than 2 or 3 inches, or let's say 5 to 6 centimeters for you in the metric system. Now, let's say, my name is Lee.
My name is Lee.
And I push again. Okay, that way we got a change between weak and strong. Now, let's see what happens if you're testing somebody, see what you get. I'm going to have them test me now, okay? So, all right, push. And now I'll say, my name is Joe Biden. Okay. Now, my name is John McGuire, and it's strong. Now, here's what can happen, though, is I can say, I'm going to be strong no matter what, and think it in my head. So here's what happens. My name is Donald Trump. See, and I was strong. Well, that's not true, because in my mind, I was operator biasing the test. So that's what sometimes happens with people. Now, watch what happens if I say that, but then I start counting. Okay, my name is Donald Trump. 1, 2, 3, oh. So that's a trick that Sheldon Deal, one of our professors, taught. He said if it should be weak and it's not, the person's maybe doing what I call a mental override. So have them count, and that will often then negate their mental override, and the body will tell the truth. Now, the other thing is you can focus on your gut and let your gut, because that's really we're talking to the body here. Muscle testing is asking the body questions. So I'll give another example. So I can ask for your body to give me a yes, ready and push,
Yes.
and body give me a no. Okay. Now when a muscle is weak, that's saying energy's blocked or there's a stressor. And then we can kind of find what we're going to see corrects that stressor. Okay, here's another thing. If someone's really muscling you, they're just pushing too hard, have them do this. So I want you to let your arm be totally relaxed. Okay, and let's just demonstrate that. So make your arm like, he's a really strong guy. He's much stronger than me. So make your arm really tight and strong like we're arm wrestling. See, and I'm pushing, I can feel him. I'm not going to win at this, but it's not a battle of winning or losing. It's a matter of getting accurate information. Okay, so when I get someone like that, I said, no, you got to relax your arm. In fact, just do it like totally relaxed, empty shirt sleeve. Now let's have you like a bike pump. When I push, it moves, but it has a little resistance. And then as we get more air in the tire, it has a little more, okay, a little more, a little more. Okay, and I get finally where I'm pushing about 8 pounds of pressure, and he's meeting me with 8 pounds of pressure. So now when we do that, and you just meet, a little more, a little more, a little more, and I'm following through. Now we have you think of a stressful thought, like just something that frustrates you. Mm-hmm. Got that? Feel it in your gut and hold as I push. Okay, and it goes. Now think of a really happy thought that makes you feel just full of energy. And hold as I push. So that's the first thing you need to do, is you need to calibrate what is an on and what is an off. Okay, so that is the first thing. I want you to practice now a little bit. If you have someone to practice with, do a couple minutes of that. And again, you ask, is there any problem with the shoulder? So sometimes I'll have someone say, oh yeah, I separated the shoulder, it's really sore. Well, let's use the other arm. Okay, now again on me, what you'll be doing is telling a person it's not a strength test, and you're going to put gradual pressure and they meet it. So I'm meeting the pressure just a little more and make it a smooth pressure. So it starts and goes a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more, and I'm meeting it. Another way to do that, to feel it, put your hands against mine is we're just meeting the pressure, kind of like we're tango dancing and you got a little bit more, a little bit more. I'm not going to try and push him through the wall. And as I go a little more, he meets it and we meet it. All right, so that's how you feel that gradual increasing pressure. Now again, as he pushes, I'll think of a frustrating thought. Okay, and there it goes. Now I like to end with a happy thought. So I think, oh God, okay, push. Thinking my daughter's coming in a week, so I'll get to see her from Hawaii. All right, so that is, get a little practice if you can. And thanks, you can have a seat and I'll get you over there and then I'll tell you what to do when we get to that point. Now, another thing to remember in muscle testing is, I'll remind you, you and the other person have a neutral mind and an intention to get accurate results. Another tip, I mentioned this earlier, elbow straight. If a person's bending their elbow, now you're testing muscles in here along with muscles here. Another thing I find, if you have the arm lower down here, you have more leverage. If you bring it all the way up here, they've got a whole lot more muscles they can recruit. The person should have total relaxed body and be breathing. So you can make those notes. And again, I'll be sending you a PDF after class of whatever we cover today to make sure you have all that information. So give that a shot. And I'll see if there's any questions now before I show you how to self-test. That'll be the next thing we're going to do. So if you have any questions, put it in the Q&A box, and then we'll just take a moment to look, and then we'll be back. So put those in. Now I'm going to show you a couple ways to self-test. And again, this is what I do more than anything, because you can find out what your body wants in terms of foods and nutrition, which we're going to get into in a little bit. The first one's called the sway test. And you want to be standing for this. So I put my feet a little further than shoulder width apart. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to think of a happy thought in my belly and just think and even say the word yes, yes, yes. And I lean forward. Happy thought, yes, yes, yes. And see if you lean forward or back. Most people lean forward. Now think of a frustrating thought. Thinking I got to get my taxes done, filing late. That okay, I'll go back to happy thought. I'll just see the taxes done and the government owes me money and I'm thinking that and I get, yeah, that, okay, great. You can shift any thought into a positive one if you work on it. So see what you get. See if you go one way or the other. Here's another tip. The more you practice this, the better you get at it. And I'm going to do a little show here with food, and we're going to do that later too. Let's see. We got a bag of Lay's potato chips. Bet you can't eat just one, right? I'll tell you about that in a moment. So I'm just going to smell the bag. If you got some food around, you can do this. Oh my God. It drives me right back. Well, let's see what else we got here. I got some organic sprouts. Let's see how it happens with those. Oh yeah, okay. So I do that more than anything on my testing. In fact, I'll test what tea I'm going to have in the morning, or what I'm going to put, maybe if I'm going to have a smoothie, what I'm going to put in the smoothie, what tea I'm going to have before bed. And so again, I hold the product. Let me show you, I got a coffee here. This is a This is a great organic coffee. In fact, it's by Enter Health, organic coffee, and it's got reishi mushrooms mixed with it. So, again, I'll smell that. Oh yeah. But if I go and I don't have any in the house, but if I had another coffee that was maybe Nescafe or whatever those kind, especially an instant coffee, I would generally go right back. But again, keep an open mind. Now, the other thing to note, we'll get into more in food testing a little bit, but we're going to go for another test that I often use when I'm sitting. Now, this is called the quadricep or the leg test. Okay, so I have the knee bent, and instead of it down like this, it's extended out a little bit. And I'm going to be pushing in the line towards my foot. And so you can do that now. Sitting down, so I'm pushing the foot down, and now I can say, body, give me a yes. And I think a happy thought down in my gut, try that. And as I push, my knee meets my hand and it's strong. Now, again, I'll think of a stressful thought. Thinking of those poor people in Lahaina, which, by the way, I can give you a website I'm donating to Hawaii where it goes to people with boots on the earth. Is that what they call it? Fortunately, all the people I know on Maui are safe. I know a lot of people on Maui. I have a home in the Big Island, so it's just really great that the Big Island fires didn't harm us. But it's just, have love and compassion for those people, okay? So back to a happy thought. So I'm going to see now, I want you to think of a thought about feeling love and compassion, somebody you really love, and it's strong. I always like to end with a strong note. Now, okay, so let's think of a food. This time you'll get a thought of a food. Just think of it and see what you get. So I'm going to think of, well, I already did the sprouts. So I'm going to think of grass-fed lamb, and I'm strong on that. Now I'm going to think of Colonel Sanders fried chicken. Try some of that. See if you can find just the thought of a food. Now, it's not as accurate as having the food present, but your body's intelligence knows. And the more you practice this, the better you're going to get at tuning into your innate intelligence, because that's what the muscle testing is monitoring. It's not your conscious mind, your subconscious that knows. It's the inner intelligence, the body's intelligence you're tapping into with muscle testing. So again, that quadricep test, that one works really well when you're sitting. And here's some applications. I'll go to a restaurant. In fact, I was eating lunch yesterday at a restaurant, and I was doing that at the table. And I was looking at foods. I was at California Pizza Kitchen. So I'm looking at the pizzas, and I'm going weak. In fact, I recommend for most people, just go non-grain. And everything was coming up that had grains in it. Pastas, they were all testing weak. And I finally found a salad. Oh, I test strong on that. So be aware that between the quadricep test and the sway test, you can do a lot of self-testing. Another tip, when I wake up in the morning, I start with a glass of water. I go down to make my smoothie, or I also commonly have celery juice. I generally drink about 20 ounces of celery juice in the morning. Let me think of my celery juice. Celery juice, yeah, really strong. And I feel great after it. Now here's the thing too. For you that are working with your clients, teach them this. I had a woman, in fact, I don't know if she was here. I think she was the woman, yeah, that was at the RWS meeting 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Dasha from Ukraine ended up, I taught her how to do this testing, and she went home, and after 1 week, almost all of her health problems cleared up because she started testing all her foods and her makeup. She came in with a really bad skin condition. And so we tested her makeup, which is another great thing you can do, muscle testing. And she got her foundation out, put it on, and she went totally weak on a test. So we found one that was good, and she eliminated her foundation, and within a week, she said her skin totally cleared up. And there's a lot of harmful chemicals in conventional makeup. Like I did a video on muscle testing. I think we had CoverGirl, there was Maybelline, and most of those are really bad. And how many women are using and putting that on their skin all day long, absorbing that into their body. So it's another great thing to muscle test. And so when you find out what's strengthening you or keeping you strong, and you only eat those foods as well as your family, miracles often happen. In fact, I have to admit, I had a really bad leg pain recently. And I was eating what I thought was really healthy foods, but I hadn't muscle tested them. I would have almost every other meal, asparagus, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, kale, a lot of cruciferous vegetables. We think, oh, those are ideal. And I was getting worse and worse. So then I said, I better go back and test these. And I found out almost all of them, including onions, garlic, I was weak on all of those. So I went and fine-tuned my diet, and it's now, because I found out I also have a lot of gut bacteria, and I'm cleaning that up. Just a note, if you test weak on something, it doesn't mean you can't have it the rest of your life. It's often get yourself healthier, detox, and then you can start introducing these foods. So there's good news. It's not a life sentence. Well, anyway, I got avocados, cucumbers, zucchini squash, grass-fed meats, and a lot of foods that I found tested strong is all I began eating. I eliminated all grains. Sometimes I can have a little white basmati rice, but even brown rice. In fact, one of the worst times is I had a P.F. Chang's dinner where I had the Buddha feast, which is brown rice and all these like nightshades and organic, vegetables. And I could hardly stand up after the meal. So the bottom line is this. Listen to your body. You don't have to muscle test everything before you put it in your mouth. When you eat something, how do you feel afterwards? And so I've got a clue, and now I have no leg pain after getting on that diet. So for you, first step is heal thyself by testing the foods as well as products you're putting on your face and your body, your shampoos. One of my associates has his patients smell their hair. And then if they go weak, well, guess what? Their shampoo has chemicals in it, which unless you got an organic shampoo, and you can go online, I think they have an app for this. I think it's called Think Naked, is that right? There's other ones too you can find. And you can put in the product and it'll tell you how safe it is from chemical points of view. Because so often, the commercial products that you find on the regular shelf at CVS or whatever are going to muscle test weak. Eliminate those from your life and you'll be so much better, okay? Well, let's bring up a new person now. We've got Elise in the house. Fantastic. You want to come up and let's see what we find, okay?
Let's do it.
All right, let me go here. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Great, and you just started studying our courses as well, and you have a lot in functional nutrition, right, in your background?
Yes.
And you find, are you using some muscle testing already or not?
No.
Well, this is perfect for you because now she's taking my biochemical course, right? Just signed up, so she's also going to be learning how to integrate this into your practice, which is so great.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've had muscle testing done before, right? So just again, let's bring an arm up. This one okay to test?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to push back, straight back like this, and you're going to meet my pressure with the hand just a little bit relaxed here, elbow straight, and I'm going in this line of drive, and you're going to meet my pressure. A little more, a little more, a little more, and it's solid. It kind of feels when it's strong like you're pushing on a wall. Like if I'm pushing, it doesn't move. Whereas if I'm pushing, let's say on a mattress, which I got the table down here, and I push, 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 it just sinks in a little. So that's what you're feeling. Is it a solid as you increase gradually? And they meet your pressure. As you push, they meet it. Now let's have you, just to see what it looks like when it's off, say, my name is Donald Trump.
My name is Donald Trump.
Okay, and it goes weak. Now my name is Elise.
My name is Alize.
Oh, Alize. I didn't even pronounce it right. She's French, at least from family. So Alize, thank you for correcting me. Alize. Because you might have said my name's Elise and you would have went weak, huh?
Maybe,
Okay, yeah. So Alize. So Alize, I want you to, now the next thing I want to show is how the different levels of accuracy of testing a food. We have some foods present. Let's take a banana, okay? So first, let's just have you think of banana, okay? Just think of banana and hold as I push. Okay, now that's strong. Let's have you smell the banana, okay? And see it, hold. Oh, and it's starting to go weak. Hold the banana. Yeah, and it's even weaker. So thinking of food doesn't necessarily give you an accurate answer. However, I'm going to show you another tip. Write this down. If I touch the back of the neck, right about here, just off from the cervical spine, and either me or her can touch it, now think of bananas. It goes weak. That taps into your vagus nerve. That's the highway between your gut and your brain. And it's saying, vagus nerve and all of the energy systems in the body, how do you relate to that? See, we have 14 primary meridians. And these meridians that flow on the surface of the body each relate to an organ and actually muscles that we cover in our advanced classes. So what we find then is that some people, like a certain circuit could be okay on banana, but not another circuit. In fact, let's do this. We show these in the biochemical course. This pushing out like this is a muscle related to the stomach and the stomach meridian. Hold as I push. Okay, now hold the banana here and hold again as I push. See, that's strong. Now, but that only says, well, the stomach doesn't mind the banana, but there's another muscle here related to the pancreas. Hold your arm like this, elbow locked. Don't let me pull out. And Alize, you see that's strong, right? Hold the banana. And let's see what happens now. Oh, so the pancreas says, I don't like the banana. So you need to see the whole system, how it's responding to a food, unless you do the shortcut. So that's why we touch here. I touch here, and even thinking about it, or holding it, it says, yep, it's not doing it. So there's different things about food. And again, in our biochemical course, which we'll be showing in a little bit, the biochemical kinesiology certification program that's about to start. I know some of you are already enrolled in it, like she is. But that program gets really deep into all the nuances of this, as well as we have online classes that we show you how to work remotely, which is fabulous. Okay, so let's now do another thing here with, how about let's just check, what's this, walnuts, right? You eating walnuts? Let's see how you do on walnuts. So easiest is just smell the walnut. Great, and if I touch here, we see she is fine. Now, let's see how I test on walnuts, okay? And push. See, I don't even have to test this. This is kind of like if you want to go deeper. So you don't do that all the time, but if you say, I really want to double check, remember this is saying, hey, whole body systems, this is like just enough. And it smells good, but my body doesn't like it. So the phytates in this are what's, I think, the challenge. And this is what was contributing to my joint problems. So at least for now, in the future, I can maybe handle that. Remember I tested a muscle related to the pancreas? There is a switch for the pancreas, and I'll show you where to find it. If you take your left nipple and go straight down your abdomen and then go up and out. So she's going down and then right in here. Yeah, touch that spot. Now, when I have a strong muscle and I touch an energy switch, if it goes weak, it says that switch is off. It needs help. Hold as I push. Yes. So we're figuring out, she's got some stress in her pancreas. So let's see what happens. This is a supplement. Now we're going to get into supplements today, more in the later class today, where if I put the supplement in her field, her energy field, it will test strong if it helps to balance her energy and remove the blockage. So let's touch there again. And again, she is testing weak. I'm going to put it in her field. Particularly, this is a blood sugar balancing. It's from actually one of your neighbors. It's by Optimizers, international company, but its headquarters is right where she lives in Venice. Look how that says strong. Hold. I can't budge it at all. So see, that's really great when you have, well, I don't know what'll help you. I know this could help, this. The muscle testing is exactly. Let's try another product. This is pancreatic enzymes. Let's see if this helps. And it says, oh, yeah, that helps too. Okay, great. Well, let's keep going here. Let's see if this does anything. And it doesn't. So it's not like everything's going to help. So you're able to start checking. That was basically a probiotic. But probiotic doesn't help the pancreas. It could be if we had a problem in the colon. So what you're finding then is, just to get you back to the basics, muscle testing tells you what blocks energy. You got a strong one, you can test foods. See if there's one other food here we should check. Well, we already checked potato chips. Oh, here's one. This is a leftover. And I do this a lot when you have things in the refrigerator. I don't know if it's still good or bad. Well, you can put that in your frame. Just hold that right there and see what happens. Bingo. It's saying, nope, that's not going to be, it's time to put it in the trash. And I do that a lot with leftovers. You ever have that happen where, oh, how long has this been in here? You can also smell it, and often you know, yep, that's going in the trash, but sometimes it'll be borderline. So it's another great thing to know what to throw out when. Okay, so that was, and it was an organic cucumber, which at the time when I was eating, I just didn't get to the bottom of the bag. They were healthy. So that's another thing you can check. Now, how about a beet? Let's have you test a beet here. And it says, oh, that's good. Now let's just see if a food can help. Just touch that again. And let's see what happens when we put the beet on your body. Oh, it actually helps the pancreas. See, so you can check foods that make a weak muscle switch on to find out what your ideal foods are for that. So foods and supplements. So again, you got what switches a strong muscle off, avoid. What switches a weak muscle on, you can supplement or get in your diet. Now, there's a common question. Well, how much of a certain supplement should I take? Write this down. You can ask the body. So this one, for instance. Now, there's two different ways to do this. One is you hold this here. Well, actually, let me touch the spot here and see if it goes weak, right? Hold. It's going weak, okay? Now, let's have you hold this. It goes strong. So I'm going to ask, more than one capsule a day? More than two? More than three? Okay, one with each meal. Well, more than one, more than two. Okay, two with each meal. Okay, so that, in this case, is one that you would have with a meal, and it says 2 per meal. Now let's do the other one here. So let's have you hold this one. Now again, I'm telling the body, we're talking to the pancreas here, and these are pancreatic enzymes. More than 1 per meal, more than 2 per meal, more than 3. Okay, so it's saying 3 per meal. So that would help to bring about a balance in the pancreas specific to what was starting to show up, okay? So let's see if there's any questions coming up. I'll let you have a seat, and we might bring you back up here in a moment. Okay, is muscle testing similar to pendulum? Yes, as far as yes or no. And I've done pendulum testing. There's a great book. God, what's the guy's name? I have the book. I was just looking at it the other day from Chicago on pendulum testing. And you can, for me, the pendulum will go forward and back on yes and side to side no. I don't use that much because it's so much quicker rather than the holding a pendulum. Which way is it going to go? Which way is it going to go? And that way it's so much quicker on the body. So as far as pendulum testing, I don't tend to do that. Though it's similar. Just realize the type of muscle testing we're doing is asking where there's energy blockage and flow in a simple way. I did demonstrate one where I was testing a muscle related to the stomach, organ, and meridian, and seeing if the banana affected the stomach, and then it was strong, but when I checked a muscle related to the pancreas here, then it was weak. So that's fine-tuning. We go further into that in the biochemical course. Now, where that point is, again, is, in fact, I've got a folio here that gives all the correction points, the nerve reflexes, the foods, and in here, they have pages with all these points, and I'm going to zoom it in here for you. So this here, as I get closer to the camera here, hopefully you can see this. Maybe it's not focusing well, but it's right down here. That is the point for the reflex for the pancreas, as well as the spleen meridian. Now, where that is on the head for the general, another question here, that general point, it's just right back in the neck here, just under the skull, off of the cervical spine, just in the soft tissue. Right there is that general test point. So I use that often when I'm testing people, and I'll do this. In fact, we might bring you up again for this just to demonstrate, is I like to just have them go through their foods in their diet. Ideally, you want them to bring in fact, I'll give you a story about this. I worked with this woman who was having debilitating headaches to the point where she couldn't function. She'd be in bed with a killer headache for 2 days. Couldn't carry a job down or anything. So what I had her do is I say, bring in a little sample of each of the foods you bring in. Most people eat about 12 to 15 foods. So she brings in a couple egg cartons with samples of all her foods. And I found about 70 to 80% of those she was testing weak on. But we found things that she tested strong on. I said, try this for a week and just eat those foods. Calls me back a week later and says, wow, for the first week in 2 years, I haven't had a headache. And she had gone to Cleveland Clinic. The neurologists were checking her, which is good. Sometimes people might have a brain tumor. You want to get things ruled out. She said they couldn't find anything. I said, well, did they ask you anything or check about your diets? No, I had a headache, not a bellyache. Well, pain can be from your diet. So that ended up changing her life. She was able to clear up her headaches, went back to work, got a management position fairly soon, and she was off and running. Simply doing what I'm going to show you right now. So come on back up. Alizé, I love that name. It's so beautiful. All right, so now I push here, and I'm going to touch back here at this point, and just start talking about foods you have. Say, what would you eat in the morning, breakfast?
Eggs.
Okay, think eggs. Okay, next.
Bananas.
Okay, bananas. We already know about bananas.
Oatmeal.
Oatmeal. Okay, that was strong.
Smoothie.
Smoothie?
Yeah.
Okay. What's in the smoothie?
Almond milk.
Okay,
berries.
one at a time.
Okay.
Almond milk. Good.
Berries.
Berries. Ooh.
Oh, berries.
Now, let's do this again. Hold that. Berries. See, it's somehow you're not metabolizing your sugars properly. And we can balance that so it will be healthy. But see, that's where you can start fine tuning. But you get the drift. Then I will do that. And I had one guy I was testing. I said, okay, how about what do you eat for lunch? He goes, okay, cheeseburger, week. Fries, week. Coke, week. Okay, so what else do you have for lunch? He goes, well, that's what I have every day. Well, okay, now we're starting to understand what the source of your health problems are. It's often diet. I mean, it was for me. So critical. So you want to check foods. Now you can get, for you that are, I think it's the, is it the MRT test? And I've done that, where they send your blood work in and you get a whole panel of stuff. It's fairly expensive, and it's a good thing to do. I've also done biomes, and it's great. If you got the money, you can do that. But for a lot of people, this is a great shortcut and cut to the chase. Better if they bring it in, but this is what you could do in a pinch, where it's quick and easy. We could go on, but that's what you drift. Now, let's go back to dose, how much you would have. So I'm thinking you might want to do me. I'm going to have you do me. So I'm going to think, in fact, I'll put this coffee on me. So one hand, you hold the coffee, and the other hand push. Okay, so you hold the coffee against me here. Okay, so I go here. It's strong, right? So I'm going to think how much per glass. More than 4 ounces, more than 6 ounces, more than 8 ounces. Oh, 8 ounces? 7 ounces. Okay. So if I go, in other words, I don't want to take a venti of this, 20 ounces, because there's also how much are you drinking and how often. So I'm going to ask the body, and I'm trusting my body's intelligence. We're asking innate intelligence. Is it 7 ounces more than once a week, more than twice a week, more than 3 times a week? Okay, every other day. Okay, every third day is best. Okay, and I found that if I drink this every day, it just throws my adrenals off and start having challenges. So you can ask how much, the amount, how frequent. Okay, and I had this woman, she was 93 years old. Her daughter said, my mom is, I think, on her way out. I want to see if there's anything you can do to help her. I go out and test her, and it came up. There's ways in our biochemical class we can show you whether it's nutrition. We'll get into that later, if it's structural, nutritional, maybe emotional, or energetic. She came up nutritional, and it was diet deletion. So I said, well, what do you have for breakfast? And it was oatmeal. And I said, okay, and she was weak on oatmeal. But I said oatmeal, like I'll just have you like say it was weak on oatmeal. And I said oatmeal once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. So it was like if she only had it twice a week and started doing rotational diet rather than every day. Often it's what you eat every day that you become sensitive to. So for her, the key was starting to do that. Of course, I did some balancing with him. I was seeing her about once a month, then I moved to Hawaii and I didn't see her again. So I did see her one time where she told me I wrote a new Christmas letter because I had skipped the last 2 years. I was so sick. And she said, I wanted to let you all know that I'm doing well and you can now call me Iron Woman. That was what her new nickname was. Well, again, some years went by that I hadn't seen her, and I asked her daughter, is your mom still around? She said, oh, yes. And she sent me a picture of her mom in front of her 101st birthday cake.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, she ate the cake, unfortunately, and died, but no. But the point is, those simple changes can transform someone's life. And so diet rotation is often an element. Not just the food, whether it's yes or no, but how much of it you're eating, as well as how often. So some good principles to remember. Okay, someone asked about the plastic. Well, it's the energy, my intention is the energy of the food. I'm not testing the plastic to say, oh, it would be okay if you ate this plastic. And just like a cell phone, if I put my cell phone inside a plastic bag, the signal, the energy goes through the plastic, the glass, whatever. Now, ideally, it's best to smell the food because then that is going into your nervous system to be the best test. Or if you want to put it on your tongue. The problem with putting things on your tongue, and I've seen this, is it that there's a test where they do you put something on your tongue, can't remember the abbreviation, but I touched it, and then they'll check a neurolymphatic point like the pancreas and say, ooh, that's really tender. Then they'd put the supplement on your body or in your tongue as well. And then you'd see, does the tenderness decrease after 30 seconds? But then you got to take it out of your tongue and rinse your mouth off. And then what happens is it takes 15 to 30 times longer to do the testing. So for me, it's just, again, the frequency of the food in my body's frequency. See, we have this biofield, and it's basically about 2 inches out. And when you put something in that field, in fact, I'm going to bring you up again and we're going to show that. And then it will test. Now, let's have you hold your arm up. Now, this is a packet of sugar. Okay? So I'm going to keep testing, getting closer, getting closer. Look, as soon as I'm like about 1.5 inches out, it's weak. 3, 2, 1. See? Weak. So that means anything within this biofield, which is why I put supplements there. This, by the way, is a very energetic, sensitive area, right about the tip of the breastbone. It's also where a vagus nerve's coming out, so that's another great place to put supplements or foods for testing. All right? What we're going to do now is check for how to know if someone's hydrated adequately, like if they're drinking enough water. And I think we'll have, come on up then, Lee. There was also a question, let's bring your water though in case we need it. There's also a question about, well, what waters would be best? You can ask the body, or if you have the waters present, which we don't happen to have a lot of them, you could test that as well. So come a little closer here. And well, first, we get the accurate muscle test again as I push, got a switched on muscle. Now what you do is you or the person can tug on their hair so it stretches their skin and retest, and he goes weak. Doesn't matter who pulls, if they don't have hair, or if they have a beard, they can pull that, or the skin. It's the fact that you're stretching the skin, and if the skin is not elastic enough from having adequate hydration, the person will muscle test weak. It's actually one of the first things I do when I'm working with clients before I do the actual session. Is I get a strong muscle, see that I got accurate on and off, so I calibrate what's that, and then I have them tug on their hair. So again, he could tug on the hair. Just tug on your hair, and as I push, it goes weak. Now that indicates dehydration. So let's have you drink some water here. Now if I know doctor from India, you were saying, well, how do I know? You would actually have different waters, and you could test to see which one's the best. Now I'll show you here. Tug again, and he drank enough. Now it's an immediate response. It's like when you fill your gas tank up with gas, you see the needle goes right up. Now, what we might ask, though, is asking the body again, how much water is enough per day? So more than 40 ounces per day, more than 50 ounces per day. Say yes. More than 60 ounces per day, more than 70 ounces per day. Okay, 70 ounces. So somewhere around 70 ounces would be ideal for you. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, that can vary. You don't want to think that muscle testing is absolutely, to a degree, accurate. Use your common sense and your knowledge. Like if he's working out, he's an athlete, and if you're training and working out a lot, you're going to need more. Or if the weather is really hot and you're sweating a lot, you're going to need more. So, but for you, that gives you an ideal range. Mm-hmm. Now, we could also ask the body with, ideally you'd have the water. Okay, so let's have you think of tap water would be fine. No. Okay. Spring water.
Yeah.
He's okay on that. Distilled water. Not so good. Okay. Alkaline water. Okay. pH above 8, above 8.5, above 9. Okay. 9. Okay. So you could even get fine-tuned for that. So it gives you a little indication. But hydration is so key that even if you get people drinking more water, that's going to be helpful. Well, you can have a seat now and then drink the rest of your water, sip it while you go. And I find often that's one of the most important things for clients to shift is just start drinking more water, and a quality water. Now, there's a book by Batman Gelage, a Persian doctor, called The Body's Many Cries for Water. You can look it up, and he maintains that virtually every health problem has at its core a lack of adequate hydration. It's a big factor. We want to just emphasize that, the importance of drinking adequate amounts of water. Now, and you want to drink your water between meals, first thing in the morning when you get up. It switches the brain on. Your brain needs so much adequate hydration. So be aware of that. So let's do some more things now where we're going to get into how to find what nutrition a person may need. So can we bring up Alizé? Am I getting it right?
Yes.
I want to make sure I got this right. Alizé.
Yes.
All right. And in this case, these points are called riddler points. And I'm going to show you a chart in a little bit where these are, but you can make a note where a few of them are. Again, we get into this in the biochemical course, which I'll be talking about a little further. And I know some of you are already in that. But we have a biochemical kinesiology course where I go into in-depth all these things that I'm showing a little bit of today to really profoundly improve your practice and your work, as well as your quality of your own life. In fact, Lee was saying here, he's not in a health profession, but he's taking all my courses and he's doing really great. He's a fantastic student. And you find it's really helping your own health, right?
Of course.
Yeah, he says, of course. So just taking it for your own benefit is great, as it is for me. I mean, using my own knowledge has totally transformed my health. So that's the first thing. Basically, use it for yourself, then start using it with your clients as well as your family. My daughter has made tremendous progress. She had some major challenges, and we got her basically all balanced out doing the muscle testing. And she'll even come to me, she's 20 now, she's coming next week. She said, okay, Dad, test me on this food. Oh gosh. And I said, Michelle, I got to just have you test your own self. You don't need to be dad all the time, but it really helps to have your family using this information. So back to you. So let's have you hold this arm up here. Now these are points that are touch points. Okay, so I got a strong muscle. I can even go out, doesn't matter what angle. Let's go out a little further here. And so you can use it, rather than the arm at the same angle, shift around, because it's just an indicator at this point. Now I can touch points on her body. A Dr. Riddler figured this out, where I'm going to touch right under, and I don't know if on your camera, I think I might have a mirrored image thing on my Zoom, but I'm touching on her left side, right under the collarbone. That's vitamin C. She's strong on that. Let's go up here and do calcium right above that, above the collarbone. And now I'm going over here. This is vitamin F, and she's strong on that. Now I go to vitamin E here. Oh, she goes weak. Let's check a couple others. So this is, I'm now on her left cheek right here. And hold as I push here. Yeah, that's sodium. And then the right cheek is potassium. So she's good there. But so far we've got here. Now I've got another one here. I'm going to go right under her xiphoid process, just on the soft tissue here. This is pancreatic enzymes. Hold. Well, that confirmed what we found earlier. So these, what you do is you touch the point, and I'll show you on the chart in a bit. So you see there's a whole array of them. We go into in-depth ones in the courses, but for now, you've got a few ones you can do. So again, these are common ones. Vitamin C is just under the left clavicle, just off the sternum. Above that is calcium. Over here is essential fatty acids, vitamin F, and then vitamin E, which you had here. Now, if I have a supplement present, I can pull it out. And let's see, well, this is vitamin E. So she can hold the vitamin E. Again, very good spot is right under the xiphoid process. I touch the point again, and bingo, she goes strong. So I know that is the case. And again, well, let's ask, more than 1 capsule per day? Or it's a pearl, more than 2 per day? Say 1 twice a day. Now some people say, well, for how long? Ideally, you'd check to see how they are the next time they come in, which I also muscle test when's the best time for them to have another session. But let's just say for now, just 2 more than 1 week, 2 per day more than 2 weeks, more than 3 weeks. Now you'll see I say more than, and then when it goes week, it was more than 2, 3 weeks. Great. Then after that, 1 per day. Okay, so often when you are deficient on a supplement, you need more in the beginning and then can curtail it. And sometimes a person could be ongoing taking a supplement and then it's harming them, throwing things out of balance, because it's all about balance. Okay, so those are the Riddler points. Now there's another one here I want you to do is take a tuft of hair and twist it. You're not pulling it like the water test. That's for protein. Hold as I push. Woo. And she goes weak. Okay? Now, you keep doing that, and I'm going to grab some protein supplements here. So the question is, well, which one? Okay, well, I've got 3 different ones here. Now, if you can, it's always best to have the olfactory nerve. So I'm going to pull these out and see. So you can twist your hair. Okay, again, she's weak. Just smell this. Okay, she went strong. Okay, just smell and then exhale though. And then exhaling. Because sometimes just the breath alone can switch you on, okay? And then here. Okay, now she's strong on all three of these. So then you say, well, which one? Write this one down. This is so important for when you want to find out if something's a priority. In other words, what's the best of those three? You take your middle finger and you touch the crease of the thumb right here. So that middle crease of the joint with the pad of the middle finger right here. It's called the priority mode. Now, this is a little counterintuitive. When you test holding the priority mode, which I'm about to demonstrate, if it changes, it's a priority. In other words, a change is going to do you good. So all of these were strong, and if there's one of the three that then switches off, the body says, that's my favorite. Okay, so let's do the tuft to hair again. And I've got the priority mode here. That didn't change. So I'm using it on the testing arm here, okay? So that was this one, right? Mm-hmm. Now we'll do this one. Okay, and priority mode didn't change, okay? So let's check this one. Priority mode, and it changes. So it's saying this one out of the three is your priority. Because how often does that happen? We'll show that later too with other things. You might have like, say, probiotics. I got about 4 or 5 of them different here. Say, well, which one's the body's preference? So if you have them present, that's ideal. Okay, so let's see here. That one's going to be the one. Well, let's do the number again. So you can hold that now. And I'll say more than 3 per day, more than 4 per day, more than 5 per day, more than 6. Okay, 6 per day. So 2, 3 times a day. Then I could ask with food, on an empty stomach. Okay, with food. So those are questions you can ask the body. But you see how practical and helpful that information is? It eliminates the guesswork. Okay, let's see. Once you pop these back down there on the floor, actually under the table, we don't need them for now. Thank you. Oops, it's a big one. Okay, you can have a seat and then I'll talk and maybe bring you back up in a moment. One person asked, as far as doing labs, when do you know when to do them and when not? Well, if someone has really got health issues, the more information, the better. I mean, I love labs. I get them on myself, probably more than anybody. I just find the more information, the better. Sometimes you miss things. In fact, my mentor, Sheldon Deal, he said, a good kinesiologist will find something from one angle, but a great kinesiologist will find it from 2 and then 3 angles. Like, remember about the pancreatic enzymes? We did one where she was touching a point here, and then we had another one here, which we didn't do the actual clearing on the Riddler test, but yeah, the idea. So you say, well, how many different ways can we confirm that? And the labs are just another confirmation. Give you an example. I had a girl who was having major health issues for almost her entire life. So I did the testing, and then I said, I'd like to get the labs on you just to get another angle. And it turned out the labs were showing the same thing that I did in the muscle testing, but it confirmed it, so they were basically also saying, well, he's just not making this up. So when the person's especially in a health crisis, the more information, the better. And some people just, like me, I'm not in a health crisis, but I just want to get as much information as possible. So hopefully that answers that question. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions on the Riddler points. And just to give you again a little of the basis of this. Dr. Riddler, he found certain points were tender on people. And by the way, someone else asked about the pancreatic point here. That's not an acupressure point. It's a neurological reflex called a neurolymphatic point developed by Dr. Chapman. So those people that they do that neurolingual test, I think it's called, where what they'll do is they'll touch a point similar to how Riddler did this and say, ooh, that's tender. Well, that point means, oh, the pancreas maybe needs some help. So then they put a pancreas supplement on the tongue and wait for 30 seconds and say, oh, the tenderness went away. Well, that tells you that's the right one. You can do that, but it's so much quicker to just say, okay, that's weak. Test the supplement, it's strong, maybe check it on the priority mode. It changes, oh, the body's saying that is a priority. So the Riddler was testing these points. He said, wow, when people are really tender there, I think that's the first one he discovered, he'd put vitamin C on their tongue and find out, oh, the tenderness went away, but other supplements weren't. And then through trial and error, he found where all these tender points cleared with the right nutrition. So I use those in almost every client. Again, we cover it in, I think, class 2 in the biochemical certification program. So we find that a lot of times people with like specific supplements will then have muscles and organs related to those testing weak. Okay, so this, what we're showing now, is I'm going to test muscles related to vitamin E. Remember this? Now, this is a little, for you that have already done courses with me, this will be a review. So remember, that is the vitamin E point. Now, there's muscles related to vitamin E, and one of them is the subscapularis, the heart. So I'm going to pull up like this, and ready and hold as I pull. Whoa, that's not holding so well. Okay, Alize. Now let's check psoas muscle. I'm going to push down and out like this, ready and hold. Great, let's check this side now. Ready and hold. Oh, and that one's weak. Now there's another muscle here, gluteus medius. I'm going to push in and you hold, and that's weak. They're all on the right side too. So for you that go on, you learn all these muscle tests related to the organs. Now heart was subscapularis, the psoas, the leg straight, that was related to kidney, and then the reproductive organs was the points here. So just to understand, distinction of applied kinesiology. Every muscle is associated with an organ and an acupuncture meridian. This folio chart here it's from the Touch for Health, which I was the program director of Touch for Health back in the 80s, helped to create this. And so what you do is you can turn to a page, and we have this on the Kinesiology Institute shopping page. But here the heart. It shows the meridian is heart, but it's also the organ heart. And then it shows points that are the reflexes that help both the heart organ as well as the subscapularis muscle, one of the rotator cuff muscles that when people have rotator cuff problems, they may have this out. In fact, a lot of people, when you start balancing them, their joint problems and musculoskeletal problems go away just by simply working these reflexes. Now up here, you can't see because it's far away, but this is the supplements that are good, or the vitamins that are good for that, and it mentions vitamin E. So what you can do then is you can put the vitamin in the person's circuit, which is good to have an array of them on target. And this one is a very good quality one from Neolife that I find muscle tests really well. Now I can recheck that muscle and see if it switches on. Now let's go back and see what happens. Hold as I pull up. Wow, do you see? Totally strong. Take that vitamin E out of her field and hold. Nothing there. Isn't that wild? Can you feel as soon as I put that in your field that your arm just is going to be strong? Because I find that as soon as Lee often balances me, and as soon as he puts a supplement, I say, I can feel it. My energy just goes, whoop. It creates an energy circuitry that turns the meridians on, turns the muscle on, as well as protects the heart. Okay, now we're going to test the one for kidney. It was down and out like this, ready and hold. Really strong. Now we'll do the circulation. Sex, which was reproductive organs for that meridian. As I push in, wow, totally different. Now again, hold. Are you really holding? Wow. There's nothing there. Now, it is crazy. It always blows my mind. And now I'm pushing as hard as I can with all my force. I can't even budge her. Okay? Back to here. I got my little finger on her leg. Little finger. So that's giving the client an indication of, wow, that's going to really be helpful. Okay? So this is a way you can really help to know, especially if you start learning the muscles, when you do the Riddler points. So for you that have already done my courses and know the biochemical, I often will check a Riddler point or check several of them and then see, well, which ones are out and what's it relate to. Let's just check. This might not be on you, but I'm going to check for a large intestine. Now, the neurolymphatics, also known as Chapman reflexes, these are massage reflexes, and I'm going to see if any of them are going off. Okay, here's some going off. Now, that means blockage in the large intestine, particularly, this looks like descending colon here. That's what that relates to. Now, let's just show you a new set of tools. You that have done my courses know about these. These are called finger modes, also known as hand modes, developed by a Dr. Beardall, one of the geniuses of applied kinesiology. They're based on the fact that our hands have a lot of nerve endings going to our brain. If you ever look at the homunculus drawing, okay, can't say that fast 10 times, that will show that each of these fingers, when you touch the thumb to a finger, accesses different levels of the biofield. This one is structural. So this one, index finger here, structural. This one is nutritional. This one is emotional. And this one is electrical. Okay, so when I'm going to touch, she can touch as well. You touch, touch here where it went weak. Doesn't matter who touches or who does the modes. And she's going weak. Now when I touch here, that's saying, do we need to do structural work, which is basically stimulate the reflex. It says yes. Now when I touch here, the middle finger, make sure you write this down, middle finger to thumb, it says nutrition is needed. And it says yes, because remember, nothing touched, weak. What I touch says you need that. Now this is emotional, the emotional corrections. Hold. Okay, it says we need that too. This is electrical, which is acupressure points running the meridians. Hold. Her body says, I don't need that. See, this is where bio-individuality comes into play. Each person's, their body specifically needs certain things. Like one person might just need structural work. Another needs changes in their diet. Another one needs emotional clearing. And often we need a combination, like she does. Okay? So now, before I do the structural, which is just rubbing the points, just to know whatever tests weak on those points, you would rub them. But what we're going to do is I'm going to ask her about nutrition. Okay? So again, she's touching here on the point. That's saying, biocomputer's saying, I need help in the large intestine. The colon's got some challenges. So then I could say diet addition. Oh, yes. Okay, so I could say having more prebiotics, more fiber. Fiber in the diet? Yes. Okay, more alkaline foods. No, probably already eating a lot of alkaline foods, right? Okay, other changes in the diet. No, so it's saying, okay, more of the fibers. And then what about diet deletion is needed? So I say diet deletion and see if it goes strong. Oh, and it says yes. Deleting sugars? Yes. So I say a true-false question. Deleting sugar and it goes strong, saying, aha. So deleting bananas. Aha. Any other sweets? Deleting roasted hazelnut candy bars. Okay.
Peanut butter.
Okay, and we got peanut butter here. Okay, well, let's just ask. So deleting peanut butter. Now, here's the thing. You don't want the person to say, God, they told me I couldn't eat anything. I'm not seeing them again. So sometimes it's a matter of, well, maybe there's something they could have, like, watch this. Remember this supplement that helps her metabolize and sugars? I could put that on her and see, oh, that helped. So that would be basically back to here. Supplement addition. Yes. So I put the supplement on here and it says, okay, so think of a banana now. So it's kind of saying if you're going to want to have a banana, maybe not as many, like you were eating what, every day? Pretty much?
Almost.
Almost, okay. Well, the bottom line is we want her happy and feeling comfortable, not stressed. And so we look at, well, what other alternatives there are there? And we can maybe find some fruits that are okay for you, like maybe not a sweeter fruit, or maybe a green banana, a little bit green rather than a ripe banana. Okay?
Interesting.
So that's where, again, she's touching here, she's weak. Okay, green bananas. Okay, so that might work for you. Now, always this, though, see how you feel. Do these changes. And again, I had another woman she had chronic neck stress. And I'll just describe what we did with her, which is on the same line of what I'm doing with you. I touched her neck, and this woman went weak, totally weak. So I went through the finger modes, and it came up nutrition, because she had been going to a chiropractor and physical therapist for 4 years and wasn't getting any better. After 4 years, God, I'm getting these adjustments, I'm getting physical therapy, it's not getting better. So again, I asked, well, did any of them check nutrition? No, my neck's the problem, not my stomach. Okay, well, not necessarily. So I ended up finding, and we're going to do a test using it in the next hour. We're going to show you how to do a vial test. It's a test kit of foods. And in her, we found 4 foods that she was testing weak on. And when I had her eliminate those 4 foods from her diet, well, she chose to eliminate them. I'm just giving information. See, you're not prescribing anything. You're not even suggesting anything. You're telling the person what their body's telling them. And so she eliminated those 4 foods, calls me back a week later. She says, man, the first time in 4 years, no neck pain, no stress. I saw her for a follow-up session. Then I saw her for an annual tune-up. And she said, yeah, the whole year, no more neck problems. And it was her diet. And she said she would eat those 4 foods often, and every of them, almost every of them every day, or at least 1 or 2. And so those are commonly what people will test weak on, is what they're eating a lot of. So now back to here. So she's touching here, and I'm going to say probiotics. She goes strong. Now, all right, so again, I sometimes take the hand away and back on, so it's not like a ticking clock where the body forgets that you're, touching it. So she's weak. Okay, let's put one at a time on here. Okay, that's strong. And this one, not strong. Okay, so we know. Because sometimes you say, oh, just take this probiotic. Well, maybe it's not helping them. She's strong on that one. And let's check this one. Strong on that. Now, remember the priority mode? What's going to happen if it's a priority? A change is going to do you good. So it goes from strong and changes back. That one did not change. Let's check this one. Strong, did it change? It does. So the body's saying that one's a good one. Now, it doesn't mean that you're only going to have one, but in this case, strong, didn't change. Yeah, back to that. And the other one we checked you on earlier, there was the one it liked the most. So this is where you can find what helps. It's got to take a weak or switched off muscle and switch it on, meaning that energy, that's frequency in her body's frequency, it goes, whoop, we got balance, we got energy flow. That's, remember, what we're always doing is, are we getting energy flow? And this one says, of all the 3 that create energy flow, this is my fave. And then again, we could test for amounts. More than 1 per day, more than 2, more than 3, more than 4. Okay, 4 per day. Now, I'll give you the way Sheldon Deal does this. Dr. Deal, who's one of they call him the traveling prophet. He's probably spread AK through the world more than any other person. I know Leslie, you're from the UK. He taught 20 years in a row in London. He taught like 12 years in Australia. He logged 3 million air miles spreading kinesiology throughout the world. One of the chief disciples of Goodhart. So he says you can do it this way. Let's just put some on her body here, and it will test strong until too many goes weak. So I got 1, I got 2, well, let's just throw 4 on there, okay, and 5, and bingo. You do the highest number that was strong, which was 4, which was the same as my count. So I don't do both, but for some people they like to actually have the physical thing on the body. So that gives you some more information on that. So just to remind you, we're going to go review. She touches a reflex. Now, I'll send you a chart of these neurolymphatic reflexes, Chapman's reflexes. They're the neurological switches that go to the organ, the muscle, or sometimes 2 or 3 muscles, and a meridian, this one being large intestine. Now, I can test, it goes weak, and then I touch and test again, thumb to the index finger, strong. Thumb to the middle finger, strong. Thumb to the ring finger, strong. Now, the ring finger is emotional stress, and we're going to get into that in the next hour, and I can touch right here and see what happens. Do you see how it goes strong? That's saying emotional stress release will help your large intestine. See, one of the challenges with being just a nutritionist, if you're not working holistically, so many issues biochemically is affected by your psychological state. In fact, there's studies that are showing people with adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, have a much higher, if you've had a lot of those in your youth, and certainly I have, a lot more incidence of thyroid disorders, glandular disorders, hormone disorders, immune compromised disorders, autoimmune diseases. They've done the studies, and so you really want to help clear out those things. I'm going to show you something in the next hour that will get to that. But also we have a psychological kinesiology course. I know some of you are in it and have done it, that we go really a deep dive into lots of profoundly effective techniques to get right to the heart of the matter, often clearing things from early in childhood. So again, we'll touch on that in the next hour, but I'm just showing you, we'll get to that. So in the meantime, we know that there was the structural, so that is rubbing the points. So again, wherever I tested and it went weak, so it's kind of right about here, so we're going to rub these, or she can rub them, and up here too. So it's, and I can rub on both sides. So I'm just rubbing firmly. Is that tender at all? Mm-hmm. Now, the greater the tenderness, the greater the sense of blockage. But these supplements that we could get you on, and remind me before you leave, we can get you some of these, that's going to be helpful from a nutritional perspective. This is from a neurological perspective. And when you combine everything together and we clear the emotions, people really get profoundly better. So we don't want it to be all about, it's just about supplements. Doing these neurological reflexes are fantastic too, because it's supporting the body healing itself. That's the beauty of muscle testing. It's telling us what specifically is going to help that person and not leave any bases open. And rather than treating the symptoms, we're finding the cause, which is primarily energy blockage. Okay, so about 30 seconds to a minute of that. Now let's see how it tests. And it's strong. So we know we've cleared that. Okay, so again, the finger modes. Write this down. Structural, thumb to index. Nutritional, thumb to middle. Ring finger, that's emotional. Little finger, electrical. Now, we're not going to get into the electrical so much in this class, but again, we cover that in the other classes. So each of our certification programs and advanced courses, which I'll speak about in a little bit, those dive into how they all connect. Because ideally, you want to be a holistic practitioner covering all the bases, the physical. Sometimes it's just person needs to get more sleep, or the ideal exercise, and massage. Like I get a massage virtually every week, and I have Lee come over whenever he can, and boy, I feel great when he just balances me. So you want physical work, but nutritional, it's so key, as you know, what people are eating, eliminating the foods that are toxing them out, Also doing detox, we cover that more, like cleansing for heavy metals, other factors like parasites, candida, so many things that people have. And then you're also in the air, like the air you breathe, is getting proper air filtration, and that is often the off-gassing from toxins in the carpets or their clothing or even, their bedding. I had one time where I muscle tested the pillow I was sleeping on, and I didn't even think of that, and I go, oh my God, I'm totally weak on the pillow. So I got a new pillow that I tested strong on, and I started sleeping better. Who would have thought? Even the sheets, I get organic cotton sheets now. So those little factors that are in the biochemical realm, detoxing is key. Then you get into the emotional, and boy, when you start clearing people's emotional stuff, their lives transform, their health transforms. You don't want to leave that stone not uncovered. Then, of course, the energy. Now, in the energy realm, just to note, that often involves like electromagnetic frequencies. Like staying away, don't have your cell phone on Bluetooth. Don't use those Bluetooth headphones and earbuds. I think for you that were in the RWS broadcast, Dasha, she had these Bluetooth headphones and went totally weak on that. And that's like putting radiation into your brain. So many factors that we're not thinking about, they're often banned in other countries. Just the electromagnetic frequencies, the lighting you use. Try and have natural lighting as much as you can. So all those factors add up. And the important thing, probably number one, is have love and compassion radiating from your heart, both as a clinician as well as just an individual. Like when you walk down the street, when you beam out love and compassion, any negative energies coming at you bounce off. There's a whole test we do in our classes where we have someone stand at the front of the class, and I'll have people, they're strong, and they'll have the people in the class just focus on a frustrating thought. And just being in their field, there's actually a therapy called thought field therapy. Your emotions create a vibrational field that then affects your body to like interrupt your hormones and your neurotransmitters and throws everything out of whack. Your thoughts are really number one. So then I'll have the person in the class that's standing up, I say, just feel love and compassion in your heart. And no matter how much negativity the people put out, they're like totally strong. Then we'll do another thing that's interesting. I'll have the person standing in the front of the room think of an upsetting thought and they're weak. Then I'll tell people in the class, and I don't let the person that's being tested know what they're thinking. I'll put a little sign behind them that what I want the people in the class to project. And I'll have them all projecting love and compassion. And when the person's thinking negative thoughts, they're strong because they're in a field of love and compassion. They've actually done tests on prayer and finding that just prayer as well as meditation transforms people. That's why prayer works. It's sending an energy field, and whatever your religious beliefs, it could certainly be within that spiritual realm of vibration, but it's not about your beliefs. Any religion has the same effect. When they're praying for an intended outcome and filled with love and compassion, it often then heals a person. So that's where, for me, the most important thing is not to get stuck in my own negativity, is just keep putting out, even if people are mad and irritated by me, rather than reacting back with anger, like someone cut me off in traffic, and I just say, okay, send them love and compassion, because when I'm feeling love and compassion, my energy's not going down. So there's a key for you to be aware of in terms of that mental edge. So remember, there's a triangle of health that Goodhart talks about: structure, biochemistry, and emotion. Keep all those in mind when you're working with your clients as well as yourself. First question, it's by Optimizers, B-I, and then the word optimizers. It's a company right here out of California, though they're international. I don't know where they're produced. But it's my friend Wade Lightfeather, I think his name is, Lightheart. I always call him Wade, but he's got this company by Optimizers. The guy that did Bulletproof Coffee, It's a Dave Asprey. He recommends them. They're great supplements, and they test really well. So that was the one. It's their blood sugar combination. So a great line. I have a whole bunch of theirs. I test theirs along with, I use Neolife. I also have Standard Process and Biotics. I have a lot of Biotics, and we'll maybe in the next thing we'll show more of those. The protein sources I used, that was, one of them was Biotics. It was their whey protein. The other one was the, or what's it called? Orgain organic protein. She was strong but wasn't a priority. And then this one was actually my medical doctor recommended for me. It's Body Health Perfect Amino, and that was her priority. Often putting salts, like organic salts, in water can be very helpful. So that's, for people, you can, again, whatever you have that you can add into it. And some people say, well, I'm just not assimilating water. So yeah, having like an organic salt, there's different ones that are, and again, you muscle test them to see. But I use a lot of different salts that are organic, high quality, and there's certain brands out there, I don't know the top of my head, but you can always look and see what quality supplements are. How do you self-test for hydration? Well, like anything, I tug on the hair. Uh-oh, I'm going back. I better get my drink of water. So do that right now. See what you get. And anyway, you can do Riddler points. I'll even demonstrate some of that. I drink my water. I do the hair tug again. I go forward. See what you get. Now remember, sway test, leg test. There's a hand test that I do too that I might show later, but find a test that works for you. Know that the more you practice it, the better you're going to get at it too. Let's try Riddler points. So I'll check mine. Okay, I'll go over here. Now on me, this is my, okay, I'm strong on that's vitamin C. I'm going up here to calcium. Going on calcium, essential fatty, I'm going on essential fatty acids, vitamin E. Okay, so essential fatty acids. Now, that was the finger test, by the way. I could have done the sway test. I'm standing, so the leg test doesn't work. Now, I'll show you the finger test while we're at it. I like to take my index finger and put it on top of the last joint of the middle finger with the hand straight like this and open. And I push, give me a yes, give me a no. It works better. Some people do it with the middle on the index, but I don't get a good result. I like the index on the middle. So when I touched that point for essential fatty acids and went weak, let me grab one here. There's the Biotics one. Now I can even have it in my hand, or even like this. And it went strong. So I smelled it. That's even better. Or I could put it like in my hand like this, or even here, as long as it's on my field. And it goes strong. Well, back to, what about this? Here's another essential fatty acid. So I put that in here. Test the point. That's strong. Well, is it a priority? Now it gets a little tricky here, because I got to do the priority mode. So I'm going to put the priority mode here, touch with other two fingers here, and it didn't change. Now again, if you're working with somebody, it doesn't matter who's touching or what hand is touched. So a lot of people, like, Dr. Deal, he will have his patients touch the modes, right? So that's fine too. So in this case, if you're self-testing, okay, I got that in, well, I'll just hold it here. And again, when I'm holding the priority mode, it's saying, aha, I prefer the Biotics over the Neolife. So it gives you a lot of stuff to start practicing on right there, what I'm showing. Now, Frank, who's taken other courses with us, is asking a question about the alarm points. we didn't cover these in this class, but he's saying, well, they go weak when there's a problem necessarily with the organ or meridian. No, alarm points are generally saying it could be a problem, but they're generally saying when there's over energy. So you want energy balanced. And what often happens, though, is when there's too much energy in one pathway, meridians are channels along the body, and when there's too much energy in it, it can cause tension and often symptoms. But then when that has too much energy, another meridian or meridians will have too little, and they don't get enough juice to the organs to make them function at peak power. So we're always balancing, and that's what we're basically doing. We're finding how to balance the body's energy systems nutritionally, structurally, emotionally, and energetically. When your energies are all balanced, you're in peak health, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. That's the name of the game, as well as raising consciousness, which is a whole nother topic in our psychological. We get into Dr. David Hawkins, if you've read Power versus Force, how you can uplift your consciousness. And when you're in high levels of consciousness, health problems clear up. So that's why really a lot of the name of the game is your mental, emotional, and spiritual focus. But food is so key. If you're not eating the right food and you're not getting proper supplementation, you're not going to attain that peak so well. So the whole system is what we need to play. Just so you know, I'm attempting to give you enough that you can take home and use Monday morning with your clients and today with yourself or with your family. But we go into excesses, and on riddler points, they're when a person touches with two hands on a point, it's an excess. So in the case of, well, let's just show that. Well, let's go back to, so in this case, I'm going to test a leg muscle. Let's just check this here. Okay, now I want you to touch two hands on that point. So that's the sodium point, and that's fine. Now two hands over here. Potassium point. Great. Now let's check if you're going diagonal on the left side from your umbilicus. So go down where the umbilicus is, put two hands right here. This is one that can more often be excess. Let's see if it is on her. Oh, it is. That's excess copper. So that could be a challenge. Now going over here, this is zinc with two hands, not excess, now just one hand. And hold. So zinc's deficient. Now often when you have a deficiency of one, you can have an excess of the other. They need to be in balance, like zinc and copper need to be in balance. So let's grab, again, you can always go to foods. Let's see, but in the meantime, okay, touch that again. She's weak. Put the zinc on, strong. Is it a priority? It is. So that could help. Now let's do this. Touch both hands on the copper and bring this up. With the zinc, it helps to balance it so the copper isn't showing up excess. Now in some cases, we need to do, I know I'm giving you a lot of information, but we dive into this more in the courses. There's a test for heavy metals, a general test for heavy metals. By the way, I teach this in the Tony Robbins. I was so honored to be chosen to be in Tony Robbins' Life Mastery University. And so I'm going on my 30th year presenting. And one of the things I teach besides muscle testing is if you have the arm here, let's go to the overhead camera so they can see what I'm doing. This is where I'm pushing here. I'm going to cross over the midline and push. Wow, you see it goes weak? So on this side, when you cross over the midline and a muscle that was strong goes weak, that's an indication of heavy metals. So let's do this. I have a formula here. It's a detox homeopathic remedy that helps detox heavy metals. So when I put it in her field, what does it do? Okay, again, she's strong here. If I cross over, she stays strong. Let's touch this two hands, which I think was it Addie asked this question. When you have two hands there, what happens when I go here? It cleared that. So now, boy, we're going to send you home with a little array of things here. But again, is this a priority? So again, if I do the priority mode, first it's strong. Is it a priority? And it is. So this can really help. Are you having some, we haven't really talked, are you having some health issues like with gut or anything? Or
Not anything like too major.
not too major, but
But I haven't done a heavy metal detox.
yeah. Okay, well, we can go into other factors later, but for now, at least you got some optimization we can do.
Absolutely.
And that's good.
Yeah.
In fact, that's what we're about. Rather than only fixing Humpty Dumpty when he fell apart, you want clients coming in to stay at peak performance and being at high level performance in health and longevity. Like, I'm already planning my 100th birthday party. It's going to be a ways from now, but I want you all there at my 100th birthday party. And that's what it's about, is having high quality health from a long time. And by the way, I've never done this before, but for anyone that enrolls today, or if you're watching the replay, if you enroll within 24 hours of seeing this, you'll get a free session with me online valued at $300 if you enroll in our biochemical certification program, which I'll talk about when we get back. Plus, I'm going to show the emotional stress release correction that could be one of the most powerful things you can do. Come back, and we'll see you in about 5 minutes, okay? How do you test yourself on heavy metals, whether you got this? Well, I could do it this way, arm here, crossover, I'm good. Or test the leg, arm here, crossover, I'm good. So you could do that yourself. Push on the knee again towards the heel and cross the midline. Now, interesting story, one of my students, she had heavy metals. I think she had a lot of vaccinations when she was a kid, and they found her well water was loaded with heavy metals to the point where she was having all these health issues as a little girl, and they actually put her on Prozac, like thinking, oh, with all these problems, you're a little girl, you must have a Prozac deficiency. She had so many issues, and then later we found that she was full of heavy metals. I was working with her, and she was on those scooters that you rent, like everyone's flying down the streets with them, and she couldn't get the throttle to go off, and so she took her hand over and crossed the midline and fell. She actually, I think, had a lawsuit out of that. It was even on TV for how dangerous these scooters are. But in the long run, we had to get her on good detoxing. Now, someone asked about zinc. Well, you could see if the zinc's a priority. Yeah, that's part of it. But there's different detoxes. We don't cover it today so much, but we do in the biochemical course. And the one product I use, which was asked, is MetTox. And you kind of have to be a health professional to carry these, I think, with it's Neutral West, I believe, carries it, and it's called Micro West Met, METTOX, 2 words, and it's a general homeopathic. Now, there's other detoxing, and we show that in the biochemical course. There's various herbs, and you want to see what organs are priorities, like if the colon needs cleansed. Before you clean the liver, you got to make sure the colon's cleaning. Again, we don't have time to cover that all today, but in the course, and let me just mention this to you. There's a link. If you want to go to it, I'll show you how to get to it, because unfortunately I thought posting it in the Q&A would do it, and I don't know how I can, but I'll tell you how to get to it. Go to kinesiologyinstitute.com. That's KINESIOLOGY. You might want to write this down to look at it later. And then Institute, INSTITUTE.com. And when you go to the home page, you'll see courses we're offering. Now, for you that have already done our survey, you have $100 off for doing the survey on any course you want to get, that they're also on discount through the end of the month, which is Thursday. So, and I want to remind you first, let's just take one step at a time. From going on to kinesiologyinstitute.com, and if you can't do that now, just write it down, you can do this later, is you're going to scroll down a little bit and you're going to see a thing called biochemical kinesiology. So when you click on that, you'll see there's 2 levels of the course you can do. You can either do the certification program, which I'll talk about in a moment, or the do it yourself at your own pace, which I believe you're in right now, right? Now, we've had students from 92 countries, and a lot of them, it's for whatever reason, and they already have a lot of experience and knowledge. They say, I just want to do the course where I'm just going at my own pace, doing it as I want. And when you finish doing all the quizzes, there's 24 of them, and passing them all, you get a certificate of completion. And that course is on sale. It's $750 off right now through Thursday. So if you get in on that, save the $750, and many of you have done this already, if you take our survey, which is kinesiologyinstitute.com/survey, you can then take that 2-minute survey and get another $100 off on any course, that one as well, and you'll get a code of what to do to enter to get that information that's in the coupon code in the shopping cart. Now let me talk about the certification program. That covers everything, and again, you can see this on the site when you click on the biochemical course. It'll tell you everything, but for now I'll describe it. It covers everything. You get everything that's in the online program, which is 24 classes, and we dive into the Riddler points in depth. We show you muscles for each of the supplements. You get a 163-page manual, or 43, something like that, where every protocol is completely spelled out. You get that even in the non-certification course. All this also is covered there. And then we go into parasites, how to test for it, how to clear it, candida, also leaky gut. In fact, we might show that a little bit afterwards if you stick around. I think I might have a leaky gut person in the house and how we clear that. Also heavy metals and doing detoxes, liver detoxes. We go into homocysteine and how you check for that, which is a major cause of heart issues, even more than cholesterol. Very comprehensive course that gives you a myriad of skills. Now, in the certification program, we're in addition going to be showing you, and I'll talk about a little bit, I think we'll have time in our last hour here, of how you can do remote testing. Like I had a woman who, she actually texted me and she said, John, I'm in really bad shape. I think I'm going to have to go to the emergency room. I've gone to my doctor. They haven't helped me, and it's getting worse and worse. So I got on a Zoom call with her and did a 1-hour session, and we found out exactly through muscle testing over the internet. Einstein talked about this. He called it spooky at a distance. There's a lot of it's biophysics. It's science. It seems woo-woo, but it's science. There's a lot of documentation on this. You tune into the person's energy, and then I'm having them touch various points on their body and finding out what goes weak. And I can, say, oh, is it tender where it just went weak? Oh, yeah. And I had her rubbing various points. I think we had her fixing her ileocecal valve, hiatal hernia, various things in the session. And by the end, she says, God, I feel so much better. And the next day, she says, yeah, I never had to go to the emergency room. I'm great. Now, in that session, we also covered some diet deletion. That's pretty much every session you're doing with people in this day and age. There's going to be some diet deletion and sometimes diet addition. Now, somebody asked about vegan. I think it was Leslie from the UK. Vegan, I was vegan for a long time, and sometimes vegans aren't getting certain nutrients that make it tough, and there's some addition. In fact, I finally started eating, not very often, and I don't like spiritually doing this, but I eat some grass-fed, meats, once or twice a week, and I felt so much better. But generally, they're going to be healthier. Plant-based and organic is going to be healthier than the conventional Western diet. So back to the course. We show you also neurotransmitters. The neurotransmitters themselves, how to balance them and test them, that can be a game changer for people. And I've had people with major depression, which is often a serotonin and or GABA deficiency, clear it up. And we show you how to test for what neurotransmitters are deficient. Also, we get into hormones, how to test for hormones. And it really complements what, for you that are studied with Margaret or Ann and Margaret back in the day, and what they're doing in their hormone course, it really helps to supplement that. And that's a great course too. I highly recommend that. As well as their GI. We get deeper into the GI system and how you get additional information to really deeply know what's going on with that person. Here's another benefit. Rather than you just telling them stuff, they can see their body like, wow, like remember when Alizé, are you getting it down? Yeah. All right, Alizé, you were having like certain muscles that were totally weak. I mean, my little fingers, throwing in no strength whatsoever. And we put the optimum supplement, and wow, that supplement really helps. Rather than, because I've had that where, I'll go to nutritionists, and, I go to nutritionists too. In fact, I love my nutritionist I got through, well, many of you know her, Sarah Fields, and great work she does. And she was giving me all these supplements, and I said, well, I don't know, probably good. But then when I test it and confirm myself, I know that's the one. So it really helps your client compliance. So that, I'll come back and we'll answer questions on this in a moment, but I just wanted you to know, if you enroll today, before midnight tonight, or within 24 hours we'll give you, you get a free session with me. Now I've never done this before, but we're going to, because I actually got a free session from Margaret for the same thing when I was signing up for one of her courses, probably a hormone course years ago. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. I love Margaret. She's so fantastic. For you that don't know her, she's got the Restorative Wellness Solutions. Great program. So back to, that's the certification program. Now, the certification program, we go for 10 Tuesdays for 90 minutes to 2 hours, where I'm with you, counseling you, showing you how to work with remote testing. We're going to go deeply to make sure you know everything. And there's a lot of accountability. We don't want you in that program unless you're totally serious that you're going to master this stuff and really implement it. We don't want dabblers. And it's going to be limited as well, so we'll probably fill up. It's starting the last Tuesday in September. And then we generally meet 2 weeks on, 1 week off. 2 weeks on, 1 week off, 2 weeks on, 1 week off. And then we have a longer break around Christmas. What you do in that is we give you assignments, we pair you up with another person that you can practice even doing remote sessions, or if you live close by, then you can practice with them. And then you get case studies that we have you doing. You turn in your case studies, you'll have a final exam, both a practical and a written exam based on the 24 quizzes you're going to have. And then when you get certified, you also have this benefit that we refer people that call in, which is almost on a daily basis to you from various areas. Someone called in, hey, I need somebody in this area. I think we had 2 just the other day. So we refer them out to our certified practitioners. So even that alone can pay for your certification. Also note this. If you're deducting educational expenses, which I do, I have probably approximately $10,000 a year from your taxes. Depending on your tax bracket, if you're in a 25% tax bracket, that gives you a 25% discount right there. As well as remember, if you haven't done the survey yet, go to kinesiologyinstitute.com/survey, and it'll bring up the survey, and when you do that, you'll get the code to get $100 off any course you register for by the end of the month, which is Thursday. Okay, another couple things. Hands-on training is fantastic. I know some of you have come in and worked with me. I know Pam, you have, and many of you. We're having a hands-on beginner course called AK Fundamentals. Now, for you that haven't done muscle testing, that's a great place to start. You can sign up for that and the biochemical, but get that one in. We've got it both in an online format, and you go back to kinesiologyinstitute.com. You'll see it down on the left side of the page where the online course is, and then there's also the hands-on course in Long Beach. We had people flying in from all over the country 2 months ago for that. We don't do them that often, but that's in Long Beach, where you actually have me and my assistants working with you hands-on to really feel and experience the quality of muscle testing. And many people found that like, oh, now I get it. I really got the feel. And we go more in depth into the meridians as well as the energy circuits. You also have a class, there's 4 classes going 4 hours more in depth of how to do self-testing in that on the online course. Either if you do the online only or the hands-on one. And again, you get $100 off if you register after doing your survey, plus there's discounts through the end of the month. Okay, so let me go back and see what other questions, and then I want to show you more work with Alizé, where you're going to get your emotional clearings factors done, if needed, as well as we'll go into adrenals. I believe we pre-tested that she could use that. Well, I want to thank you all for joining me today. This is so much fun, and you see, doing this work is fun because every session's different. You're like a bioenergetic nutritional detective finding out what's specific for this person. Now, what we're going to do here is I'm going to check more organs under stress. What you're doing in organs under stress is I get a strong muscle and then I point in at an organ. So I'm pointing in at thyroid. I'll just start there. And then I'll go thymus. I'm looking for a weak muscle. Heart, lung, left lung, right lung. I'll go stomach and liver, gallbladder. I'll do small intestine. And we're getting something there. Now touch your umbilicus. So I'm going to go 2 inches up, or 1 inch up, 1 inch out with fingers like this. We'll go overhead camera now. And so here I'm touching. Those are kidney reflexes. Now I go up a little higher, I'm going adrenal. Now the adrenals go off. Now we also, I'm going to go, you can go to the neurolymphatic point, or I could even touch the adrenals, but these, you're pointing at the organ or the energy reflex. Now I'm going to point over here at the pancreas reflex, and that's going weak. Now I can then see if it's a priority, and more than one can be a priority. So now I've got my priority mode here, or she could hold it, doesn't matter who, but let's see what happens. It goes strong, so it's saying pancreas is a priority, and I got liver here, adrenal, excuse me. Adrenal's weak, priority, it's also a priority. Now I'm pointing at small intestine, it's going weak, and I go here, it didn't change. So it's saying, well, the pancreas and the adrenals are priorities. So what I could do is check back here, and we could even have her do the modes. You touch with your left hand, thumb to index finger. So again, we're going to see if that strengthens, and it does. Now do the nutrition, middle finger. It does. Now do the ring finger is the emotions, and she's strong on that. Now do the little finger. Okay, so she's wanting basically all 3. Now you could find the priority of the 3, but I'm going to just do them all. So let's see. Let's go back to adrenal nutrition. I like to clear nutrition first. So I'm going to see here what nutrition we've got. I got a supplement from Biotics that I'm going to grab. This is the adrenal formula, Cytoplex, okay? And that one goes strong, okay? So you got GSC?
Yeah.
Bring it on up. So this is a general stress formula. Let's see if it likes this one. It did. Let's see what changes. That one didn't change, so it could be good, but this one here, it's, that one's a priority. So another supplement we might have you take. Now, on that topic, don't send a person home with 27 supplements and $5,000 a product or whatever. Find out what's comfortable for them, and then you can say the priority of the priority and just ask the body or see what systems. Now, remember, it's not just all about supplements. There's the the emotional element. So let's have you, again, I touch here, that's saying it's out. Touch your forehead with fingers here on the frontal eminences, and she goes strong. So now this one is the emotional stress release technique. So I want you to think about your number one stressor right now. I think you were alluding to it earlier. Hold as I push, that goes weak. So that's an energy blocker. Now, when you got all three, you find out what nutrition they need first, then you'd clear the emotional, then the structural. So that way you're seeing the, because if I just did the neurolymphatics, it would test strong. So I got that order. Now here's what we're going to do. I'm going to just touch points lightly here on the forehead. And this technique is one you will learn, especially in the AK fundamentals. We go deep into this, but I'll demonstrate now. So what I want you to do is first just take some slow, deep breaths, relaxing your whole body. So first step is just relax. Now as you're relaxing, just feeling your ideal place of relaxation where you'll love to go and just feel so good there. Now while you're in that state, I want you just to notice kind of on a screen just a picture or movie of what's going on with you with that situation. And from a relaxed place, just like you're on the ocean here watching sailboats sail by, your thoughts are like the sailboats. And just notice them. Notice what you're seeing. As you breathe deeply and relax, notice what images are there. And now notice what you're telling yourself about this situation as you just do that from a relaxed place, just noticing. So I'm touching these points very lightly on our forehead, slightly tugging up, just about the weight of a dime. Just notice any body sensations you're having around this and where you feel it in your body. Simply noticing and allowing it to be there. Continuing to relax and breathe deep. Now folks, as you're watching this, you can do this yourself, touching your own points and going through your own, whatever you're noticing in your life is stressful. And continuing breathing deeply and relaxing, notice what emotions are there and just allow them to be there and just observe them. Just breathe into them and then let them go. Now notice any other aspects about this. Any other thoughts that come up, just observe them. And let me know when you feel you've covered all the different, what you've told yourself and just observing all that. And you're doing it from a witness, kind of just noticing from a pure awareness all those aspects. Now, if the person wants to talk about it when you're doing this, they can. They can talk about it out loud, and sometimes just verbalizing it gets it off their chest. Okay, we can go to the wide angle camera. So that's...
Can't see it on the wide angle.
Thank you. Well, that's all right. Now, what I want you to do is focus on what you'd like to feel. How would you like to feel about this situation? And tell me, would it be like relief, peace, acceptance, courage? What would that be, Elise?
Yeah, probably peace, clarity, calm, relieved, yeah.
Great. Breathe all those feelings in. Peace, clarity, and calmness. Just breathe in a sense of relief. Just feel that spreading through your whole body. And now having that faith that you will create peace in this, clarity, calmness. Feel that going into the future and just surrounding that situation with that light. Can you feel that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just be with that, experience that. And tell me when you feel like you're just complete with that and really centered in that. Got it? Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to have you think about that situation again. You release that and hold as I push. Now it's really strong. Okay, you open your eyes. And we didn't ask you on a scale of 1 to 10 what it was before and after, but you can do that with clients. But do you notice some shift, how you feel about it now? What's the difference?
I don't feel like as anxious and like just like kind of stuck in it. Like it just seems like it's just, I feel like the good feelings like just calm and...
Great. She feels the good feelings and calm. Now just to know neurologically what's happening is the stuff stuck in the back of your brain, that's all the old tapes maybe connected to the past and locked into this angst and creating neurotransmitter imbalances, adrenal reactions, cortisol and cortisone. It's like throwing your hormones off, and so many people are living in that hormone disaster, train wreck, dumpster fire from their thoughts. And that's why nutrition isn't the whole picture. It's a certainly key important one, but you want to combine it with emotional work as well. So we get further into that even in the biochemical course, but also our psychological. And so in this case, she created an experiential shift. Let's see how the adrenals are testing now. So I can go back here, and that's strong. Look at that. Yeah, so that was probably even a priority. Let's go back and see, do we even need the adrenal supplement now? So let's put that back on your body and see. Oh, wow. It's saying that would be fine, but you fix the thoughts and maybe the nutrition. In fact, we could check all your nutrition now and see what's a priority, since that maybe helped. Now, it doesn't mean it eliminates all nutritional needs, but let's just check a few things here. This was the enzymes. Okay. Yep, those are still. So that was part of the blood sugar thing that we were doing. And did we get this one? Thank you. He's got the probiotics. Yep. Yeah, so again, nutrition is key, but you want to combine, don't leave out the emotional work. And these were the other ones she needed?
I don't know, it was on the floor.
Oh, okay, it was on the floor. I don't think that one was. But those two were key. And where's that blood sugar one? We had so many here, I can't see right now. But that would be the, yeah, there we go. See, again, remember, a change is going to do you good. So if it goes and changes, which it does, so there's 3 now we got, that makes it a little easier for you going out the door. And then the diet changes too. So when you combine it all together, I often have in like 1 week with 1 session, huge results with people. But then you want to keep them tuned up and going on to, say, classes or sessions where I get, well, it's often because now Lee's working with me. We try and do once a week, but at least once a month for a tune-up to be at peak performance. And then there's other things we show in our courses where you can say, okay, now that I got this going, let me go towards goals, where you're actually creating things like in your business, where you can set goals for increasing income. Like one time when I was living in Hawaii, I said, gosh, I think it was $9,000 in the next week. So I did a balance on that, and then I did this seminar, and I created exactly $9,000 in 1 week, because that's how much I needed to move the family over to Los Angeles. And people find that their financial and career goals, often when you start doing balancing on that, which some of it's nutrition, but we cover that in particularly our psychological course, you put that all together, and it's not just about getting out of symptoms, it's about creating a life where you're pursuing your dreams and you're manifesting your vision. And that's what it's about. And that even clearing up relationships. We haven't touched on the psychological course. We'll probably have a class on that in the future. But so much in the psychological class, even for my own self, I got rid of so much upset, so much anger, so much resentment, doing these energy clearings that go deep within the core of your being. See, the acupuncture meridians that are flowing through, and they're the circuitry that runs the body, they interface the organs, they are affecting our emotions. They're also affecting our manifestation. That's what we cover in that course, how the law of attraction, you become an attractor field where things just manifest. Even parking spots. I was parking and I would just, okay, I'm going to manifest a parking spot. As soon as it's happened twice in the last 24 hours, where I'm going, there's no parking on this street, and a car pulls right out right when I'm going around the corner to get that spot. And I know it's a little wild, but you all become like a manifester of your destiny when you really elevate your energy fields and align them with your higher goals and purpose. That's just a little abbreviation of what our psychological course is. So I'm going to look again on the board, and I want to remind you, if you go to kinesiologyinstitute.com, there you'll see the courses. And sale prices are through Thursday, and if you sign up today for our certification program, by the way, some of you, like I know you are, Elise, have already done the course that is also the without certification. Everything you paid for that, you can include to upgrade to the certification program. So if you want to do that, you say, well, I've already in the certification or the non-certification biochemical, but I want to upgrade, because I know a few of you, like Vinny, you're talking about doing that. You just apply everything you paid. Now, the way you have to do that, though, is email me, John at Kinesiology Institute, and let me know, hey, I'd like to upgrade, and then I can send you a specific invoice that credits everything you've already paid. And also, if you did the survey, you get the additional $100 off that added on price. So we're going to check her for the MetTox. Not showing now. Interesting. Sometimes when you balance people's psychology, it kicks all these things into gear. Now, there's still other factors that, we're going to do with the diet and helping all those things, because she did have some, like the probiotics. Now, if you can't make the class this fall, someone asked when the next one will be for the certification for biochemical. Tentatively, we have that planned a year from now, because I have 4 primary courses that are about every 3 months, we have another of the courses. Like the psychological certification program, that starts the end of January. Energy is somewhere around the end of April. We have a structural in the summer, which is hands-on in Long Beach, and then we have the biochemical, will probably be in 2024 in the fall. Now, the other thing to note is, if you don't want to get into the program right now, get in on the one that's a discount, so you save that $750, save $850 when you do the survey, and then you can start studying all these things and applying it right now into your practice. So you can do a lot without the certification. The advantage, again, of the certification is you get much more in-depth mentoring, coaching, practice, and the ability to get referrals from us. Though you can still get all the coursework as well as the manuals. We have one on herbs. We go in depth with herbs, vitamins, and minerals, where you find deficiencies and things that a person is like needing to get the foods and all that, as well as the neurotransmitters. We go deep in the neurotransmitters, so that's available. Okay, someone asked about the hair pull test. Yeah, any hair will do. In fact, it's the skin. I had one guy who had a disease where he had not a lick of hair anywhere on his body. So just tugging on skin is all you need. You have to shave totally, eyebrows work fine, and so that's that. Next question. Juliet asked a great question here. What about if they just took a supplement and then you test them right after? They may not show needing it. So ideally, you have a person come in not having taken any supplements. Now, I want to show you another aspect of supplement testing. And this can be crucial, especially when I have people bring in their own supplements. I tell them, bring all your supplements. I had this one woman, she must have had 2 bushelfuls of supplements. And we got it down to like about 6 out of there that were priorities. And that often is the case. I mean, I got shelves of probably 50, 60, and I have to say which ones are priorities, over the time. You want to find out if there's any sensitivity to the supplement, because sometimes it'll have something good in it, but a binder or something that isn't so good. Like I had one woman, I said, well, yeah, you take a multiple? Yeah, I take a multiple. What do you take? Fred Flintstones. She was a younger woman. Yeah, I've been taking it since I was a kid. Fred Flintstones. Well, artificial colors in your supplements, not so good. In fact, so I had this one woman, she brought in her Costco multiple vitamin. And I said, well, you're actually testing weak on that. And she says, God, now that you say that, I've been feeling worse since I've been taking that. Well, don't buy junk vitamins and supplements, because they're all about making money off of them, and they're void of life energy. See, it's all about the life force. You want life energy and that's what it's about. Goodhart told me this. He said, often, like he was a proponent of particularly standard process, organic food, concentrated food stuff, which is also the Neolife supplements I have and much of the biotics. When you get a good quality line, it has the food which is still rich in life force and life energy, the field of energy that's balancing you. It's not just about chemicals. Like, well, let's just throw a bunch of artificial vitamin C or B vitamins and throw it in this pill, and we'll mix it in a binder that'll last on the shelf a long time, and it's totally void of energy. Then it's not going to switch the person on probably. But if there's something in there that does, but there's something bad, then it could switch them off. So let me just demonstrate how we do that. Well, I guess the wide angle camera is fine. It's probably good. Okay, so I put this on her, wide angle. Is that number 1? Yeah. Put that on her. She's fine. Remember this point back here? I touch back around C1 is where it is, top of the neck on the side, and it stays strong. So that's the way to double check your supplements. Here, stays strong. Okay, and here, stays strong. I don't know if we could find any, because I only have good quality supplements, but the point is, if it goes weak, now here's another thing. Say they bring in all their supplements, you could put 3 or 4 at a time. We actually show another way you can test these in the biochemical. Let's just pop the whole lot on here and see if, oh, something's not liking here. So let's just, we'll start with 1 at a time. And, not that one. So again, there could be something the body didn't like. And, no, maybe it's the Metox. Yeah. Now, why that might be, see, again, something can test strong, but you want to double check it against the neck, is it might be that you need to cleanse more before you would do this, because the body's saying, I need more, I'm not ready for it. That could be, even though it was showing priority, it would say, yeah, but there's other stuff we need to do. In fact, I could asking the body. Okay, this goes weak, right? Okay, further cleansing would be good before this. Okay, cleansing the colon, cleansing the liver, cleansing the kidneys. Yeah, so that way I know, don't just jump right on it. So again, whenever you got a supplement that tests strong, to double check there's nothing in that supplement or something about that supplement the body's not ready for. Because like say if you do a liver cleanse and the colon's totally clogged, the person can get really toxic. Or say you got ileocecal valve, we cover that in the course too. Sometimes the ileocecal valve has issues and then you're spilling stuff into the small intestine. Now we talked about leaky gut. Let's go over to here. Now the interesting thing is, now when you test a person for sugar, you put it on their body, okay, and usually they'll go weak right away. And she does. Now, if they don't, there can be two reasons for that. Hold here. And that goes weak. If the sugar doesn't go weak, it could be so that they're in such a hypoglycemic state that it says, I need sugar, please, anything. You get that, I gotta have a sugar. They're so low blood sugar. But she didn't, because she went weak. The other thing is when they're in a exhaustion phase of adrenal, which we also get into the course and how to test for that, they would test strong on sugar. Just being an adrenal, they're also, I just gotta have some energy and just give me some sugar quick. They might test strong. Then, let's see what happens. Within about 10, 12 seconds, the arm should go strong because the body says, okay, I'm gonna pull from my energy reserves, that won't weaken it. Now, if someone has some leaky gut, the quadricep, which is for the small intestine, will not strengthen. Let's see what happens here. Whoa. And she goes weak. Now, that's a sign of leaky gut. Gives you another clue. Again, we cover it more in the biochemical course. So let me grab this. This is the GI Resolve, a biotics product. RWS recommends it as well for leaky gut. So I can put it on there. Again, it's the energy inner field. If it strengthens, yes. Is it a priority? Priority mode? Yes. Does it pass the test here? It does. So this has got like L-glutamine and other factors that help heal the lining of the small intestine. But you'd also, are you eating any wheat?
Not really. I mean, I went camping, so I had some,
okay,
like a little bit, but I tried to.
Yeah. A lot of it's diet deletion, where people are eating a lot of wheat, The fact so much of people's diets is what's causing everything. So food first. And that's where getting them eating the foods that are switching them on and removing the foods that are switching them off. So that's a way you can check for leaky gut, which is many times a factor with people. There's so many things biochemically. Like, what's the true pandemic? In fact, people that get COVID and get a problem from it are the ones that have all these gut issues and other things. In fact, even at Johns Hopkins, there was a doctor saying, well, really, the people that are having long COVID are the ones that are having gut issues, which are leaky gut, small intestine bacterial overgrowth, parasites, candida, heavy metals, and so much of the population is walking around with that. I mean, look at all the environmental, the PFAS and, all the stuff, the chemicals that we're exposed to. So it's all about cleaning up your environment and living. There's so many, websites and podcasts on that. It's live a clean life. Get good air. Get good nutrition. There are times where I don't have the supplement. Like a lot of you are not going to have like all these supplements on hand. So what I would do in that case, so let's say I was going in here. So this is weak. Okay. So I say GI Resolve, and it went strong. So in other words, there are times where I will ask a supplement, and because I don't have it present. It's not as accurate, but when you don't have it, but I can also do that with foods. Now in this folio here, it talks about the nutrition for each organ and muscle meridian. And then there's a page here where it says foods that are that are rich in that. So let me just put this down here, for example. Okay, so I'm going to this Riddler point here for vitamin E. Okay, so I can say, let's do salmon. Okay, went strong. Kale? No. Meat. Okay, parsley. Yes. Eggs? Yes. Peas. So you can actually say the food if you don't have it present and see which would be good food sources for you. So that's a great question. So when in doubt, ask the body. So it's been a true delight and joy sharing with you today, and I invite you to study with me further, or giving you the opportunity to have these savings before the end of the month. This is our last opportunity because we're getting a whole lot more. Our website's getting upgraded, so the student experience is going to be very robust. You're going to have support with other students and community, and we're here to serve you to really make a difference in the lives of the people around you. So just a little recap. The body has an innate intelligence that the muscle testing taps into that to get information specific to that person of what it needs and what it needs to not have in its environment, like the foods. So you can find a switched on muscle, and we talked about some of the keys of that, are a relaxed hold with wrist. Some people stiff arm, just wrist, the whole arm relaxed, elbow straight, usually at a 45-degree angle. Could be out at the side is fine too. And you gradually increase, sinking in, sinking in, sinking in. You establish what an on and an off is, encouraging the person to say, when it starts to go, just let it go. Because I see people, oh, it's going, and then they start recruiting. You don't want to recruit muscles. And the more people get tested, the better they get at, knowing how to be tested. So it's teaching them to be tested. So then you can test foods. Recommended, like if you're touching the area in the back around C1, C2, and you're just tapping into the vagus nerve that way, you're getting a more broad test, though there's times that just holding the food is fine too, but that gives it even a better result. So we find out what foods a person's sensitive to. Now there's all kinds of protocols. Like sometimes a person will come in and I say, well, let's just go through your food list. Just right off the bat, though, remember, hydration goes weak. I get them drinking water first. Because if a person's dehydrated, that can throw the testing off. So make sure you start with the hydration. So I'll say, okay, well, let's just go through the foods. And easily, if they didn't bring them in, just tell me what you're eating, and we go through them. Now, we didn't talk about the food as it's prepared. There can be a factor too, such as eggs. Well, is it scrambled, fried, sunny side up, or is it poached? Is it soft boiled? And often, I do okay on soft boiled eggs. Not that often though. And I'm better on whites than yolks. So you can fine tune how it's prepared. And basically staying away from fried food is optimum, especially for liver conditions. And so boiled and poached is often good. And then you also have the factor of how often you eat the food and how much you eat of it. Like I find if I'm eating smaller amounts, like I can handle 7 ounces of coffee, but when I go over that, it just overdoes it. And it's a good information for me because I know, okay, stop at about 4 to 6 ounces and I'm safe. But doing a venti at a Starbucks, well, especially Starbucks coffee, not so good. So then you're able to get them on an optimum diet and starting to find foods that they enjoy, that they love to eat, and being aware, how do I feel after I eat a food, so they start training their own body. And I also encourage you teaching them how to test, like the sway test, the quadricep, or the finger test I was showing you. I use that a lot because I can hold something and have a hand free and be standing there. And in fact, I was at the salad bar at Whole Foods, and I would point to foods, looking at them and pointing at them, and I found what foods they tested strong. That's what I put in my salad, and I felt really good. And there's one time I did a salad where I had, I love the mac and cheese. And I put it in there anyway, and my body told me. See, your body tells you when you shouldn't have done that. If you listen to your body. So it's all about being tuned with your body. Okay, so we got the food testing. Now we also showed how you could do these riddler points, where you touch on these specific points. I'll give you a chart of them. I'll send that to you. And when you test those points, it can detect a deficiency. If it's an excess, it's with 2 hands on a point, then it would test weak, which you'd use a leg muscle. Okay, we also touched on the psychological stress release, where you're touching lightly on the forehead points. And what this is doing is it's bringing stuff out of the back of the brain into the frontal lobes of the brain, called the new association area. And it's energetically and bioenergetically shifting how you experience when you think of the past. It just doesn't affect you as much. That is a really potent technique. It's one of about 21 different techniques in our psychological course. But that is a real good one to do with pretty much everybody. And if nothing else, you want to do this. When they're going at the end of the session, and you could be sitting and doing this, and they could be touching their own points. You don't have to be touching them, and especially remote, is you have them visualize themselves in perfect health, feeling the way they want to feel, making choices and actions that move them forward towards optimum health and longevity. And bottom line of all this, have love and compassion in your heart for everybody you work with, including yourself, which is often the most important. Feel love and compassion for yourself. Self-forgiveness. Let go of the past and just move confidently in the direction of your dreams. Great, I'll stick around and see if there's more questions. And again, I encourage you to go to kinesiologyinstitute.com and go in, and if you haven't taken the survey, do /survey, and then check out those courses. Again, we got sales going through Thursday, and it's a great opportunity to add fantastic skills and knowledge to your clinical base, your armamentarium of tools that you can take to transform other people's lives, as well as your own. Okay, someone asked about Klinghardt. He is I guess he lives in the United States now, but he's a well-known kinesiologist. I can't say I've studied with him, but I've seen some podcasts and that. So you're saying similarities, but just a general thing. There are so many systems of kinesiology, and I've studied many myself. And as you go out and study all these, they're all valid. The thing that I specialize in is how to get it simple, quick, and easy results. Techniques that are easy and simple. And in some of these systems, and I haven't studied Klinghardt's, but I've studied some, it's like, oh my God, this is so complicated. And it takes so much time that I get distracted and just find it's not my style. I want to get stuff done quick, fast, and in and out and transform lives in very little time. So when you're studying, and there's a lot of them out there, and they're all valid and good, you want to have things that you feel good in your back pocket that you can pull out and easily use and get quick results, because some of these things, it's like, well, I got to take time, and The other thing is this eliminates your guesswork. See, that's the challenge with anyone that's not doing muscle testing. They're making educated guesses, and then sometimes, ooh, that didn't work. And then let's try this instead. I was on an antibiotic. I had a reaction to a medical procedure, and I had a severe UTI. I should have muscle tested, but the doctor put me on an antibiotic, and it was horrible for 30 days. And then I go back to him, and he says, oh, I guess that didn't work. Well, let's try something else, like after 30 days of hell. And then he tried another one, and that wasn't working so well either. So I said, I've got to get an herbalist, and I got a woman, a Chinese herbalist, and I started taking these Chinese herbs, and I finally got results. That's again, and how I found out that I had the UTI was I had a guy who didn't know kinesiology, because I was on the big island, there was no kinesiologist around as me. So I had him come over and I said, I want you to test me, I'll show you what to do. And I figured out what my problem was to know to go back and get this resolved. But now it's a matter of back to the question of studying with everyone you can and see what you feel comfortable with, and then go deep dive into that person. And that's, for me, was Sheldon Deal. I met Sheldon Deal in 1984, and I got certified with Goodheart and AK in 82. And I go, God, this is really, it's all over the place. Well, I saw that Sheldon, he has the AK shortcuts, which you'll see on our site. There's a banner where you can click on the AK, on the Kinesiology Institute at the top. It's got sale through the end of the month. You click on that banner and you'll see Sheldon Deal's courses. And so I took his work And it makes it so much easier and simpler. And he was the style I liked. You can find out exactly, like a lot of what I showed you today, like the leaky gut. There's so many shortcuts. And I know Lee has studied a lot of his work from us. And it's really easy, quick, and you can find one test. Do we need to do cranials? One test. Do we need to do TMJ? One test. Do we need to do meridian system? And it's a great way to find what to get to the source of quickly. Another question was about tonifying and sedating. Well, that's beyond what we're doing today, but just to mention that there's acupressure points on the body. They're called tonification and sedating. Tonifying is a point that brings energy into a deficient meridian, and it says, let's get that energy up. And so that's what we're tonifying. But you have to do further testing beyond the scope of this course. Again, we teach this in our courses, our energy particularly, how you know where the energy is deficient. And then there's sedation points that can take energy out of an excess meridian and then balance that. So that is another part of kinesiology. Just be aware, there is so many aspects to kinesiology. You just take one step at a time, and that's when in our advanced courses, as well as our online courses, you can take and you learn one technique in each class. You practice that, you can integrate it, and they all stand alone. You don't have to learn everything and then start applying it. Like even just the food testing, what you learned today. Wow, I can go out and food test. And again, we go deeper into those things in the course, but every technique stands alone. So you get that extra benefit. So just to remind you, this is all about being the best you can be. And that's what one of my teachers said, John, you want to just be committed to being the best you could be. And I say, God, that's so right. And I'm giving you an offer to become further the best you can be. And it's an online process. My oldest student, Irene Harrison, she started with me when she was 95. And I said, Irene, what are you doing here? You're 95 years old. You're studying kinesiology? She said, I don't care if I live to be 105. I'm going to keep on learning. Exactly what she said. She blew right past 105. She made it to 108. And she's just such a joy. And she would always, like, when she'd answer the phone, I'd call her up. She wouldn't say hello. She'd say, hi. She was just filled with life and joy. And she said, oh, John, tell me what's new. What are the latest developments? What are you doing? She was always learning. Well, one time I asked her, what's the purpose of your life, Irene? She's probably 105 at that time. It took her 45 minutes to answer the question. Because when you have a high purpose for life, it keeps you, it's like the most important factor to live a long life is to have a purpose and drive. And so if your purpose is to not only be the best you can be, but to make a difference in other people's lives, that's what really is the joy in life. And I'm sure you agree. So again, I want to thank you for making the Kinesiology Institute your best choice in health and wellness education. And until then, be well and God bless.